Hello everyone. We are a few members of the Ding Ding TV youth reporters, me, Emma, Hendrik, Alina, and Catherine. We are interviewing Ms. Huang Wei. Ms. Wei is a member of the Cupertino City Council, trustee and past board president with Fremont Union High School District for 11 years, and former president of Cupertino Rotary Club. Thank you for being here with us, Ms. Wei.
You're welcome, Emma.
So my first question is, what is the Cupertino Rotary Club and what does it do?
Okay, so Rotary Club is a adult service club. What we do is we go out in the community, we see a need, we find a project, and we volunteer. So it's really just like, when you're in high school, you have service clubs. When we, in the society, we're working, this is our service club. So think about it as your father and mother, your cousins, father and mother, they go out in the community and they do good in the community. That's what a Rotary Club does.
I see. That is a very interesting thought. Second question, what is your goal for the Cupertino City Council?
All right, so a city council's job actually is to use the money correctly. So every government agency that uses public money, taxpayers' money, has elected officials from the public to oversee where the money goes and where it should be. So a city council's job is to oversee the finance of a city and also oversee the maintenance of the city, make sure the residents get what they want, high living qualities, and also the most important thing is land development. A city moves forward. You have land. What you can do with the vacant land or land that's very old, the city council actually's main job is really to see what would the city become in the next 10, 20 years. Something for you, for the youth to come when you graduate from college, come back, what will your city look like? The current city council's decisions affect what happens to the city for the next 10 to 20 years.
I see. That is very interesting. I'll be handing it on to Kendrick for more questions.
Hi, Kendrick.
Hello. So you went to UCLA.
Yes.
What career path did you want to follow when you graduated from the university?
So I grew up in Taiwan and I graduated from college and my major was teaching English as a second language and I learned all about foreign languages. So I went to UCLA for my master's degree in teaching English as a second language. After I graduated, however, my husband also graduated from master's degree in double E. Guess where he landed? Silicon Valley, right? Where all the computer majors, electrical engineering major landed here. So I came here with him in 1981. And then I started to have kids. So what I did was I used what I learned in schools. I volunteered at PTAs, at classrooms, and eventually I made a lot of friends. I made staff friends, I know the principals. So when there was a vacancy at the high school's board, they asked me to run for it. So I was elected as a high school board. So my career sort of followed my kids. I grew up with them. They went to elementary school, I volunteered at elementary school. They went to middle school, I volunteered at middle school. They went to high school, I volunteered at high school. And then when they went to college, I volunteered in the school district. So that is my career.
That seems very nice of you. Who is your role model?
My role model actually are people who give their time, treasure, and energy to the community. I believe everybody has their career, right? Everybody is actually pretty successful in what they do. But once they got they bought their place, they raised their kids, when they are retired, people never retire. They only do something different. And I see a lot of role models in my community that after they retire, they put their money, they put their energy, and they put their talent into doing something good for the community. And these are everyday heroes who are my role models. And I have a lot of them, not just in Rotary, in the high schools foundation, in the YMCA board, in all the nonprofit in our community. We have so many everyday heroes that are my role models.
Questions, Elena?
So I think everybody is interested in city council, or
Mhm.
most of us, here, are very interested in city council. So can you tell us what city council just normally does?
Okay, so actually, I'm going to tell you this. A small city like Cupertino, City council members have to be elected, but basically they have to be elected to volunteer. We are volunteering in the community, even though we're elected to represent every one of you. We are there, we're not getting paid, but we're getting paid stipend, a little bit of money, but what we really want to do is to make sure that our city runs well, that we take care of every resident's needs. Park and recreation, all your parks, that's maintained by the city. All your roads, that's maintained by the city. Your water, your electricity, that all has something to do with the city. So a city council's major job is to maintain the lifestyle of the residents. And again, what I said, other things, that's current, right? But the city council needs to look forward. What the city council decides now, decides for the next 10, 20 years of the city. So we're not going to take care of what's here right now, the living quality of residents, but we have to look forward to the next 10, 20 years. Where does the city want to be? As in housing, as in transportation, as in job opportunities, as in business development. That's a major part of what a city council does, to look forward and decide what the city's future will be in the next 5, 10, 20 years.
Wow, that's very interesting. I think a lot of people would appreciate that information.
And I would love a lot of people to be very interested and then, listen to what the city does and put their opinions in. So a major job of a city council member is to inform the residents what's happening in your city. Get your opinions in there, because this is going to be your city or your child's city, right? So we want everybody's engagement. Unfortunately, most of the residents, they have busy work, right? They go to work, they raise kids, they have, they want to go to vacations. They usually don't pay much attention to what happened to the city until something catches their eye and they're like, whoa, I didn't know about this. Even though they haven't received 3 or 4 notices, but it goes in the mail, it goes in the email, they just trash it. So what I try to do is every month, twice a month, I will send out emails of what's happening in the city. Just kind of pay attention, okay? If it catches your eye, come to the city council, email city council, say your opinion, or ask, what's going on? And then we will let you know. So if you have your parents, tell them to pay attention to city news, okay?
I will remember to do that once I get home today.
Very good, Alina.
And my second question is, why did you want to become a city council member?
Well, as I told you, okay, once we on a retired age, I think it's time for us to give back to the community. We raise our kids, and we've done what we need to do, and we have accumulated a lot of knowledge and a lot of resources, and we have time. So I think it's important for anyone not to retire from life. They only retire from their profession, and they use their expertise to give back to the community. Whether they volunteer on a nonprofit, or like in Rotary clubs, or they volunteer into a elected position, that's all about giving back to the community.
I think that's very interesting. Now, thank you for the wonderful answer. I will pass it on to Catherine, who has some more questions.
Hi, Catherine.
Hello. So, I have 2 questions for you. My first one is, what caused you to take many of these roles within the community?
Okay, so here, when you look at being in the community, you look at 2 things. One, as I told you, is to give back. The second, actually, is self-growth. Because you continue to work and volunteer in the community, you learn a lot of things. I continue to learn. For example, I actually learned how to make public speech after I started to volunteer. It's a learned skill. You don't really, you don't practice it, you never get good at it. So that's a practice. And also in Rotary, every week we have a speaker, and I learn so much from different speakers. So continue to learn is a life's goal. So to volunteer, it's not just to give back, you also give back to yourself. You actually have a happier life, because when you continue to learn, you continue to expand your knowledge, and you continue to make friends. And you make this community your home. So what's your home? You know your parents, you know your brothers, sisters. So what's home in your community? You know your neighbors. When you go to a function, you know 80% of the people. That's home. So I always advise people to volunteer to be part of the community. It's not just good for the community, it's also good for yourself.
Thank you for the amazing answer. Now moving on to my second and last question is, why do you invest your time and energy in these nonprofit organizations?
So, I actually encourage younger people, when I say younger, not as young as you are, people in their 30s and 40s and 50s are younger, in my point of view. They still have their family, they're kind of busy, but it depends on what you think is valuable, right? So you ask me, why do I invest my time and energy into doing what I do, either in volunteer in nonprofit like Rotary, or volunteer to be elected on the city council? It's part of me is to continue to grow, part of me to be part of the community, make this my home, and part of me is to giving back because I get so much from the society, right? If my house value goes up, did I make it go up? No, it's the whole community made my house value go up, so I need to give it back. But for people that I encourage to be part of the community, even when they're younger, it's because then they themselves can learn and benefit from all the activities that the community does. And also, they build this community into what they want it to be. For example, right now we're deciding, the city of Cupertino and every city is deciding where you want to place your housing for the next 8 years, from 2023 to 2030. Think about 8 years. You will probably have graduated from college. You probably had a job. You might want to come back to Cupertino or Sunnyvale, wherever you are. And we, as city council members, don't make decisions to build housing somewhere. You end up nowhere, right? So you want to have a voice. So for younger generation to have a voice is to build the community into what they need to be in the future. So I highly encourage you to be interested in what's happening in your city, because eventually you're gonna come back. If we don't make decisions now for you, 10 years later, you don't come back and say, my community hasn't changed. I couldn't find new places to live, new restaurants to go have a drink with my friends, right? So pay attention, and it's really good for individuals and also for families and for the community.
Thank you for the amazing answers. So that's all the questions. And in summary, we learned that Mrs. Hung Wei liked to volunteer and go join Rotary Club to clean up the area. And she talks about the city council uses the money properly to do land development. She also says that her career was followed by her kids, and her role models are people who actually give back to the community, and that's what she hopes to do for the rest of her life. She also really is inspired by the self-growth and being able to continue to learn. So thank you very much for talking to us, Mrs. Hung Wei.
Thank you very much, Catherine, Alina, and Kendrick, and Emma. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to communicate with you. Our future lies in the next generations.